Welcome to all Caribbean entrepreneurs. If you've been ready and waiting to take your business digital and get paid online while you sip something strong on the beach, this podcast is for you. We'll hear from the Caribbean's finest entrepreneurs on topics like e-commerce, business development, brand building, social media, their wins and failures. This is the only place in the region helping you navigate the digital age from the Caribbean's perspective. This is Digipreneur FM. And now, let's give it up for the Digiboss himself, Mr. Keron Rose.
Yo. Wow. 2026, and we are back in the building. My goodness, what a year it has been so far. June 22nd. This is episode 199. My goodness. It's been a minute. It has been a minute. Matter of fact, the last episode I would have been in January this year. And listen, man, it has been such a crazy 2026 so far. I don't think any of us could have predicted 2026. But hey, we haven't been able to predict anything since what, 2020, since COVID? Apparently back in, the year 2000, Y2K, we predicted apocalypse back then. Can we really predict anything? What is a normal year anymore? I think every year has been crazy in its own regard, but 2026 has definitely been a very interesting year because so much is changing on the global scale. And what's changing on the global scale is, I think for the first time, it's impacting everybody individually. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is the first time where, because usually when we hear about, just major things happening, major shifts, it might impact a section of people, even if it's a country. But COVID, I think, was the first time where globally, obviously, it impacted everybody. And COVID came, COVID went. But I think 2026 is different because I think so much is changing. Like with COVID, we were all anticipating to go back to normal. Like that's what everybody was getting into, going back to normal. But so much has changed this year. There is no going back to anything. Nobody knows where any of this stuff is going, and everything is being impacted when it's not countries, doing their thing and impacting us. AI is here. Technology is changing everything. And for me, this has been one of those years where I've really had to slow all the way down. This has been a year for me of slowing down as much as humanly possible, because with so much changing on every level that we could possibly think of, no one's really an expert at anything. And I think for a long time, my platforms have always been built, where we have conversations, but a lot of it was also teaching too. And, I think this is a year where I think mentally, when I was thinking of podcasts and we're just thinking about just creating content in general, somewhere along the line, I felt like I had to kind of, teach from a particular angle. And because things are changing so much, I don't really think anybody can stand from the front and teach. I think now one of the biggest things that we're looking for, that we need, is people who are going through the changes and the transitions with us, and they're documenting their journey, and you're seeing what's working, what's not working, and you're learning from people in motion, And because this is just this is just some realizations that I've come to over the past couple of months. It was a big thing that kind of just stopped me from showing up in so many spaces. This year, this first half of the year, I've turned down speaking engagements. I've turned down teaching opportunities. I've turned down working with clients as well. I've turned a lot of opportunities down. And I'm not saying that as a brag or a flex or anything, but I've turned a lot of it down because here's a big challenge that I've been kind of trying to mentally navigate for the past couple of months. As you know, I'm here in Thailand, based here in Thailand. I've been here a year and a half. Matter of fact, it's over a year and a half. We're going into July. September would make it 2 years that I've been in Thailand, right? And I'm going through so many changes personally. And now that I'm over on this side, I'm on the other end of the world, where I'm literally in the future, 12 hours ahead from most of the Western countries. So much is happening, and there's so much that I'm experiencing. And because my audience and my business and everybody I do work with is still back in the West, and predominantly in the Caribbean, I think this is the first time where I feel like we are so far behind that the things that I'm learning and want to talk about, I'm like, yo, I can't even talk or do some of these things because in order for this to make sense, they would need to have this, and this in place in order for what I want to talk about to make sense. And because that gap has, for the first time, I feel like in forever, probably since the start of the modern internet age, post dial up, going into the social media age, I think this is the first time where things are changing at such an exponential rate that any country, any market that isn't figuring out how to adapt as best as they possibly can, if you're not even in that space of figuring it out, you're in a lot of problems. And I think for so much of our region, we have just kind of taken the back seat for so many things. Like if it works, it works. Leave it alone. We don't always try to improve things. We don't always try to stay up to date. But now that lax mindset, which has created one of the dopest environments in the entire world, because when you think about it, right, when you are leaving the UKs, the Canadas, the USs, when you are leaving all the quote unquote first world countries, where is one of the first regions you think of to go and unwind, to go and relax? Caribbean is top of your list. But it's relaxed and like that because that's also been our mindset too. The region has never been a region that is keeping up to speed with everything happening in the world or keeping up with the latest innovations, because in order to do that, you would need to have a society like the Canadas, the UKs, or the USs, and we in the region are, polar opposite to that. So everybody leaves their busy life in first world countries and they come and relax by us. But that mindset is also costing us now, because now we can't afford to relax. Now we are being impacted by any and everything around us, around the world, right? So me moving from Canada, moving to Trinidad, and for me that was it. Like I had always wanted to move back to Trinidad, so I had no intention of leaving. But because the environment had changed so much, I was like, yo, I can't build within these constraints. And then plus, I'm in a space where I need to be poured back into. Like I need to have the environment, I need to have the accessibility, the ecosystems. Like I need to be in these things in order for me to learn, but and also for me to just keep interested in things that I want to be that I want to kind of keep up in. And I think for a long time too, because I was still so mentally stuck in terms of what was happening only in the region, when very little innovation is happening, it becomes problematic. So like you kind of just it kind of just hampered my own creativity as well, right? Um, and I'm saying all this to say because remember, I'm going on 2 years. I'm going on 2 years in Thailand, and I've just been going through this transformation and going through the transformation, going through the messy parts, you really have to rethink everything. What are you doing? Why are you doing it? Is this making sense? Is this what you want to do? Is this going to bring you peace? Is this going to bring you like you rethink all of these things? So my first year and a half has really been that. And then it got hard to show up in so many spaces that I have built over the past couple of years, like my podcast, like my YouTube channel, like even social media. I don't even really post as much video. I don't really post any video content anymore outside of like just some mandatory things that I have to do, TV being one of them, whatever the case is. But even with video content, I have tried to just not do it as much as possible. Not because, it's not good to do or whatever the case is. No, but I just haven't wanted to show up in that space because I had no idea what I wanted to show up and do. And even when I would try to shoot content or I finally grab my camera and I'm like, all right, let me go do something. Let me go shoot something. It always felt forced. And the one thing about content, everybody's going to have, their thought process and their values in terms of how they go and create. One of my values for creating any type of content is it has to genuinely feel good. Like I need to feel good wanting to do that content. Because as long as it feels forced, forget the audience. I don't really create content for the audience. I create content that feels good for me, and in it feeling good for me, the benefit to anybody who decides to follow me or listen or indulge in my content is you are always getting the best of me. And it is selfish, absolutely. But content is how I learn. Content for me, when I create content for me is a learning exercise. It's how I learn, it is how I consume information, and especially because all of the content that I create is always some technical aspect. Either I'm talking about some technical stuff or whatever, e-commerce, your website, feed, you know what I mean? Like I'm always still talking about something you have to go and implement, but also I have to learn how to do all of the things that I do. I have to learn how to podcast. I have to learn, what goes into editing or how I want to do that. I have to go through all of these things. I have to do it. All right. And the only thing that exempts you from not learning how to do these things is the other thing. You got to have the money to pay somebody who knows how to do these things. You're either not paying with money and you're paying with your time and you're investing and you're learning how to do all of these things, or you have the money and the resources and you can outsource to the people that know how to do it, and that way you buy your time back and you get the best quality work. And you put your money to work for you. All right. So when I'm creating content, this is how I learn. This is how I process. And again, I needed to kind of just step away from all of the places that really required a level of energy from me that I just have not been in a space to give. But this also kind of has helped me figure out the new direction of the podcast and where I want this to go. Digipreneur FM for me is a space where I get to experience the world, share those experiences, and because for me what I like and what I enjoy is digital business, technology, even smartphone technology, but not as, how I used to love it off before. Smartphone technology has become relevant again to me because so much has changed in a lot of the Chinese smartphones that they're making, and how I see these phones interact with real life and business and just life in general. I'm like, I'm intrigued again. The smartphone technology has become intriguing again because I'm getting to see a lot of the Chinese companies make some amazing devices over here. And I'm also getting to see how uh, Thailand, Asia, Vietnam, I get to see how they're leveraging all of the tools that we just take for granted, or we don't even really know what these things can do because a lot of the places that we live in just don't have the ecosystems to really see what a phone could do right now, right? Like being in China and watching somebody use their Huawei Mate something something to go and turn on the car. We come out of a mall and the vehicle comes and finds us and picks us up and opens the doors automatically and lowers the little step stool on the side automatically for you to get into. Seeing all of these things has reinvigorated my love for technology and just seeing how it all connects. But then I have built these platforms, like I said, it turned into a teaching platform. And because I felt like I haven't had something to come and teach for a while, it just kept me away. And then today, what happened today for me? Today, um, over the years, not even over the years, let me not say it like that. Over the past year, I've really gotten into anime. Right? I have watched Naruto, the first one. I've watched the second one when he was a teenager, so Naruto Shippuden. I then watched One Piece. I've started to watch Bleach. Currently, right now, I'm watching My Hero Academia, and I've watched a good bit of animes in between that. And it hit me that all I've watched for the past year is anime, and it's because the storylines, the character development, the themes that these animes explore has been world class writing to the point where I'm like, yo, where did these Japanese writers, where did they go and study? Because they know how to tell a story. They know how to pull tears from grown men watching cartoons, quote unquote cartoons. But let me not call anime cartoons. But you know what I'm saying, right? The writing has been absolutely phenomenal. And because of Naruto, because of One Piece, these are shows that have been around for 25 plus years. And that got me thinking about just the business. What did these people do that their shows, like, first of all, let me not disrespect Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball has been out since 1984 and is the biggest anime franchise valued at a few $1 billion. The Dragon Ball franchise is valued at a few $1 billion. And that is coming out for its like 30th season. Right? And the crazy thing is, the sales for Dragon Ball are only going up. They're not going down. Anime, for the first time in life, anime has started to beat Hollywood at the box office. When they released The Last Demon Slayer debuted as the number one box office grossing movie, and it beat out a bunch of Hollywood heavyweights just a couple of months ago. To the point where Marlon Wayans had an interview that went viral over, where he was like, "Yo, f Demon Slayer," because it killed his movie in sales. It tanked his movie in sales. So anime has been a big part of my life over the last year, and just watching it, observing it, adding in AI. So what I've also done is, because the Japanese writers are playing 5D chess, one of the ways that I use AI is I have a thread dedicated to anime and anything that I want to know, anything that I want to explore. So a theme could happen, and I could get immediate context of this theme to better understand it. I could ask follow-up questions, but then I could also explore the themes that are happening inside of anime. And because of that, I just think it has just changed the way I've thought about so many things. So many things I won't get into right here, but it's changed my thinking on so many things. But then also from a lifestyle perspective, like I just love the way they've explored so many themes of life that we live in. Like it's just insane. And I'm watching My Hero Academia right now. That's an anime that Michael B. Jordan just the other day said saved his life. You can go Google it, check it out, or whatever the case is. He went in deep on what My Hero Academia has done for him mentally and emotionally, or whatever the case is. I'm watching it right now, and I'm like, yo, this is exploring themes that are life changing. So consuming that, exploring these things, reflecting on these things, for me, in this time where so much has changed and in changing, and there's just so many new influences for me. I just told you about anime, me coming over to Asia, me seeing technology in a completely new different lifestyle, being over here and being in a region where and I'll say this, just being in a safe environment again, has just allowed my nervous system to reset. It has allowed me to breathe again. It has allowed me to just go for a walk. We in the Caribbean don't realize how powerful it is to just be able to just pick up at whatever time, whether it's morning, noon, night, 2 o'clock in the morning, just being able to go for a walk whenever you feel the need to go for a walk is so powerful. And we don't even have that ability to go for a walk without having our spider senses on 1,000 for what's happening in our environment. Getting the ability to just be in a safe environment again, all of these things. I'm bringing up all of these things because I'm explaining a bit about why, I've kind of disappeared. Even though you've seen me on other platforms, whatever, but why I disappeared, especially from the spaces that really required me to show up, is because so much has changed, so much is changing, and I needed space to just breathe and to just think. Breathe and just think. Because for the first time in life, there is no blueprint. There is no how-to guide. There is no career advice you could take that's worth anybody's salt. Because we are in the middle of the change. We are in the transition. We're not even halfway through. We are at the early stages of global change. And it's not just one thing, it's everything. So, having this platform, coming out here to just talk about 5 things to do, and nobody could really tell you that, because what works today, I could 3 hours from now read an article that just documented OpenAI's latest update that offers these new changes, and your entire game plan changes. Like, that's how fast things are changing. And so for me, I needed to rethink the podcast and Digipreneur on the whole. What do I even want to do with this thing? And here's what I've discovered. Sound like a scientist, eh? Here's what I've discovered. Random. I am dying to be put in a situation where I can say, now let's get down to brass tacks. Don't ask me why. I've just heard it in some shows, And I am dying to just be in a situation where it comes up so naturally and I get to say, now let's get down to brass tacks. Now, here's the thing. If you are around and I say it, please don't look at me directly in my eyes and make me laugh. Because it's going to be in a corporate environment where there's money on the line. And I don't want to look unprofessional. Now let's get down to brass tacks. So for me, rethinking how I wanted to show up, it came to me whilst I was swimming. I go up there every day. And again, I have the time to do it now. I go up there every day and go for a swim. And I just swim. And for some reason, when people say they go to the gym and think, man, I go to the gym and I'm just like, yeah, I'm here to just get the workout in and I want to go home. Like, that's all I think about when I'm at the gym. I just want to go home. But when I'm swimming, ideas hit me all the time when I'm swimming. So with all of the changes that are happening, what is AI amazing for? AI is amazing as a partner. As long as you are the brain, ChatGPT is your pinky. That's the best way to explain it. You have to be brain, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, they can be pinky. So they can do anything you want it to do. They can do it exactly how you want it to do. But don't allow that thing to think for you. Because that's when it gets crazy. But that's also when it gets generic. And so with so much changes into AI that have happened over the last 2 months, April 26th, my daughter's 18th birthday. Yes, my daughter turned 18 in 2026. What timeline is this? Apparently one where December I turned 40. Jesus Christ. Anywho, seeing the changes that happened with ChatGPT announced Image 2.0 April 25th or April 26th, somewhere there. And whilst I was seeing what the changes were, now I knew prior to that, ChatGPT's image generation was garbage. It wasn't good. It was whatever, right? Best images were Nano with Nano Banano. That's with Gemini, and it's been doing that for a good while. Now I get some good stuff out of Nano Banana, but I realized it was very limited, so I would use it. I would use it sparingly, but I never really got into Nano Banano's image generation. It was good, but it was all right? It was all right. You see, when Image 2.0 for ChatGPT came out, that readout of what they've been able to do and accomplish really got me thinking. And the best way to learn is to do, right? So I've been asked to do ChatGPT courses, and I've declined them because I'm like, yo, I'm learning these things. You guys see me do something and I get people reaching out ready for me to go teach a class. I'm like, nah, I'm in the process of doing right now. I'm doing and I'm documenting. I'm not ready to go and take people's money to go and charge a class and teach you image generation. Anyways, so right around that time is when the Caribbean tour for iShowSpeed happens. And there's multiple things that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about, I want to try out ChatGPT Image 2.0, but here's the thing. I'm not somebody who does trends, and every single time people are creating with image generation, everybody's doing it to follow some trend that they've seen. I don't even know how we got to a point where people are like, hey, use this prompt, throw your picture in here and use this prompt and use this viral prompt to get this cartoon version of yourself. That's the dumbest thing I've seen. And it's dumb to me. I don't care. It's dumb to me because we live in a world where AI content is being generated ad nauseum, right? And it's either one of two things. It's either really, really good, even if it's simple, it's either really, really dopely used, or it's like, why did you even waste the prompt? Is half the time is what 90% of the things that people create. I'm like, why did you even waste a prompt? Why is there viral image generation trends? It is the dumbest thing. So, anyways, I'm not going to use ChatGPT Image 2.0 to try to do viral prompts, and it made no sense. So I was looking for ways to try it out, but AI to me, and I want to say this as I get into the point, AI tools to me is like Green Lantern and the Ring. Like, you see how whatever he imagines he can create with the power of the ring, and it's only as powerful as the person's imagination. If you watch One Piece, again, I'm in anime right now. If you watch One Piece, part of what makes the main character Luffy so amazing with his power, his quote unquote rubber powers, is because his imagination to come up with things. And that to me is the power of AI. AI can scale your thinking, AI can scale your imagination. If you're outsourcing your thinking to AI, if you're outsourcing your creativity to AI, then you have lost the plot. If you outsource your thinking and you outsource your creativity to AI, you have lost the plot. You are not going to succeed in this phase moving forward. AI, if used correctly, and you can scale your expertise, you can scale your services, you could scale your creativity. If you could use it to scale your thinking, you have a lot of opportunities to create for yourself. And when you do use AI, people are not going to mind it, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Before AI, there was Photoshop, there was Canva. And just like bad Canva, just like bad Photoshop, if you didn't use Photoshop correctly, it didn't look good. If you didn't use Canva correctly, it didn't look good. But when you used Canva or Photoshop or After Effects or Premiere, if you used any kind of editing poorly, people did not like it. If you used it properly, people loved it. People don't care how you arrive at the destination. They just want to know that it's genuine, it's a good effort, and they like the end result. But if you are using AI to again outsource your thinking, outsource your creativity, you're only ever going to produce generic stuff. You're only ever going to produce the things that are like everybody else's what they're putting on. It's going to look like the Canva revolution all over again, where everybody's using is using the same templates. Imagine that. When Canva came out, you could spot a Canva template a mile away. You knew everybody was using it. Now you have the power of AI, where you can create anything you are thinking about, and people's stuff still looks the same. That is why people say they hate AI, or at least a lot of the assets you guys create from AI tools, because it's the same thing. When Photoshop came out, everything was, yo, that's Photoshop. And we say it so many times for every new iteration of something that comes to help people create. The people who actually learn their craft and are good at what they do, and you don't even have to be a designer to create something good, but you have to have an imagination. And the thing is, let me get back to what I was saying about with I Show Speed. Let me tie it all back in now. Sorry, I went left for a bit, but it's our podcast, and again, this is what we're here for. In thinking about image 2.0 with ChatGPT, I needed to find a way to put this to use and to create something that made sense for me and my brand. So I thought about, well, hey, why not measure the data from all of the islands and then create some unique slides, like create a unique data storytelling slide deck. And then I could also promote my data research services on top of that. And guess what? As soon as I tried it out, actually, no, I didn't even think about the service part at first. I did not think about the service part. I just thought that the iShow Speed would be the perfect place to try out data storytelling in general. After I did the very first one, the amount of inquiries I got from companies to then do data research, I immediately right after realized, okay, I have found a new way to do data research for companies. With the first post had companies reaching out to say, hey, can you do this for us? And I was like, yeah, of course. And then it got to a point where I'm like, oh, this is actually a service that I could provide in a very different way than I was doing it before. Because before I would have been pushing more consulting services, and as part of me consulting with companies, I would have done that, right? And brought that to the table. But not every company is ready or wants to hire a consultant. Some of them just need to get the data and the data interpreted for them and have it slide in like a Monday morning papers. Hey, this is what's going on with your audience. This is where the demand is. This is who your audience is. This is what I think you can do as a digital strategist. This is my perspective and strategies as to how your organization can tackle the demand for this and build in the digital space. And because I was able to play around with ChatGPT Image 2.0, all of my other tools, I was able to pull data from all these different platforms, and I was able to use the data to tell a story. And that ended up generating for the first time since I've been creating content, for the first time that I hit over 1 million. I hit 1.5 million views for the month of May from pretty much the entirety of his campaign across the Caribbean. So May, I had hit 1.5 million views because of all of the data storytelling things that I put out on social media. Now, some could say, well, you know what? You put out data and people just wanted to see the data, and that's what made it dope. But here's when I realized I was onto something. Well, one, it was validated immediately because, as I said, as soon as I put it out, a few companies reached out immediately. But then I started to see two other things. There was two other scenarios that happened, and I was like, oh, this validated what I was seeing. One, some other companies had access to data. They tried to put it out, but they couldn't figure out a good format. And they just put out the numbers. And the numbers told no stories. The graphics are terrible. They got no engagement whatsoever. Then the other camp was, after I put out what I did, then there was other tourism boards that literally copied everything I did. They literally copied the data I pulled, they copied the format, and they just remixed it and put it out, or whatever the case is. But that just validated for me an entire new market, an entire new demand, an entire new way to package something that if I was going to do, I would have needed Photoshop's. If I wanted to do it in the way that I'm doing it right now for companies, I would have had to have learned Photoshop. And then to think about the amount of hours it would have taken to take all of the data from all the different places and then design the slides and then still give analysis and insights, the amount of time it would have taken me to do that, I which would it wouldn't have been done. Right? It wouldn't have been done. And then if I had to pay somebody to do it, it's not going to be effective because then I have to fork out money to create free content. Um, so that would drive up my costs to acquire customers. Right now, I don't pay anything to acquire customers because I've built all of my own platforms to get my stuff out. So with all of this happening, this gave me an entire new format to play around with. And the more I play around with it, I realized this is something that organizations absolutely need that nobody does for them. And then it got me thinking about, well, why aren't we doing a lot of the things that we should be doing? What's happening in Asia that I'm seeing over here that's leading to them to think a certain way, build and create a certain way? Why isn't that thinking happening over here? And it got me looking into the jobs, companies here. What are they looking for? How are they hiring? Versus jobs for the same space in marketing over in the Caribbean. And then looking at the two industries, Caribbean versus Asia Pacific, I got to see this major gap. There's about a 16-year gap in terms of how digital marketing is framed in Asia versus how it is framed across the entire Caribbean region. I then decided to take it a step further, and I looked at universities offering digital marketing across Thailand, China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Malaysia, and Vietnam. And then also, and India, a couple of schools from India. And then also all of the universities offering digital marketing across the Caribbean. And I compared how it's being framed, what the institutions are offering, and what is the output that you would become based on what you are learning. And because the education or the tertiary schools across the Caribbean are still 12 to 14 years behind their understanding of marketing, it just hasn't evolved, versus the universities here it's all digital business. Like, marketing as a term needs to be transformed, because I think we still, when we think of marketing, I think we still think of print, TV, radio, and social media, maybe a little bit of Google or whatever the case is. But marketing on a whole, that term just limits our thinking as to what this thing has evolved into. So when you're looking at the universities here across Asia Pacific and you see what their quote unquote digital marketings have evolved into, it's all digital business. It is analytics. It is technology. It is digital payments. It is e-commerce. It is customer psychology. It's CRMs. There's so much that is going on now that's so far beyond just content. Content is just a driver to bring people through into the system. But being in China and seeing the live streaming economy, seeing people who have farms and they're live streaming from their farms. We watched a mango farmer live streaming from his farm. And he's walking through all of his fields, he's showcasing his crops, and whilst people are watching the live stream, they're ordering the mangoes that he is showcasing from the farm. And then their social media platforms, because China has built their own social media platforms, their social media platforms are all integrated with shipping and digital payments. So someone sees mangoes, yeah, hey boy, that mango looking good. They just order a whole batch of mango right from the live stream, and that shows up, and then you pick your delivery speed. You pick your delivery time. And that shows up whenever you decide to deliver. That could be in real time, that could be next day or 2-day delivery. And that is how that is functioning over there. So when I have to now mentally come back into the Caribbean, and companies reach out and they're asking me to do workshop on this, and people are still talking or asking about, what's a good social media strategy? I'm like, dear God, social media strategy. Some would say, well, why not just meet them where they are at and just execute the social media? It's impossible now, because for a business to really allow social media to do what it is doing, it has to be a part of a bigger ecosystem. But we have never built the ecosystem around our businesses. We've just built social media. We haven't built the ecosystems to really have business happen digitally for us across the Caribbean. But social media now, with all of the changes to social media and habits and changes to tools and how AI is forcing us to change the customer journey, and the customer is changing because they can do more research, they can ask better questions. All of these things impact how you show up on social media, because somebody isn't just trying to see entertainment, or you have an influencer do cheesy skits promoting your product. Those days are over. We still want influencer content, but we want content from experts that are happening on particular topics. For the brands where you don't really have to do much thinking for people to understand your product or service, go true. You can have a lot more fun. But for products and services, the way that people have to approach digital in general, if you're only focused on just trying to grow on social media, you're just limiting yourself and what can be done. And on top of that, you might be in a space where people really just don't care about what you're doing on social media. That doesn't mean you don't use it, but it means you really have to beef up all of the other things around, and so you could set your expectations to realistically expect what you can expect from social. But you build an ecosystem where you could say, all right, for what we don't get on social, let's double down on what else is working and put our money over here. So for me, in 2026, because all of the spaces that I really enjoy, I don't do a whole lot of video, but I still enjoy video. But you see, podcasting, I've always loved from day one, and it's so different for me, even from radio. It's a space where I don't have to think about nobody. I can just show up and just do what I want to do. And the people that rock with it, they rock with it. The people that don't, they don't. And that's life, right? But I needed that space to really rethink all of these things, because then it also led to even me feeling guilty at one point in time. Because here's the thing, right? Yes, I've moved, and yes, I still show up, and yes, my business is still in the Caribbean, but there's a lot of people that reach out or make it a point to let me know that, in their opinion, I have abandoned the region, right? Trust me, some of the messages I get or some of the comments that people leave, you really just have to rethink. And noise has never bothered me, but noise has never bothered me because I've always been sure about the things that I'm doing, right? And if I'm not sure, I always tend to pull back and try to figure things out where I would like to, show up. And once I'm showing up, I'm confident in what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, because I'm sure about my why. And I know at the end of the day, I moved out here for very good reasons. One, you can't pour from an empty cup. I needed to take care of me first. And now that I'm getting everything that I'm getting and more, I'm now able to find new ways to contribute in ways that I could never have done before. And one of those ways has been through my content, but my content has to make sense to me first. And in figuring out what do I want to do and how do I want to show up in these spaces, I've gotten a lot of clarity over the past couple of months, and I realized that, listen, right now, you're having the time of your life just trying things out. And every day I'm trying things out. Every day I'm experimenting. Like I said, this podcast happened because I just learned yesterday that Gemini has post-production capabilities for podcasts. And I'm like, I gotta check this thing out. Because if this can do what it is saying it can do, then you've unlocked new business capabilities for me, but you've also shortened what would take me an hour to 90 minutes in terms of the work I do post production for a podcast. You've now shortened that to 15 minutes. And I'll tell you the biggest thing. Because I create content on every format, audio, written, video, right? I would try to take a core idea, and that core idea would then become a video, a podcast episode, and a written article. But I would always try to do the written part first. That way, it fed into the video content I would do, and then it fed into it gave my podcast structure, so I knew I could hit all of the points that I wanted, right? But now, that would have been because I had 5 things to do to do this, or 10 things to do, or 10 ways, you know what I mean? But now that this space has to come back to, what am I seeing? What am I experiencing? What am I noticing? What did I try? What did I not try? Or what was the result, good or bad? Now that the podcast for me has had to evolve into this space and not just be business or marketing. Digipreneur FM has to evolve into the digital economy. Digital, the business, the marketing, the technology, smartphones, the tools, the technology, those are now all pieces of the digital economy. These are all things that are entry points into this new digital economy. A CEO, I'm at a point now where I'm advising CEOs where, you're going to have to invest in a roadcaster and a microphone and carve out 30 minutes because of how important it is to have that brand, because that personal brand can also help drive business to the actual brand. Like these are all business strategies that you wouldn't have been talking about a couple of years ago. So in figuring all of these things out and all of these changes, for me, the podcast has had to be a space for me to explore these different themes that make up the digital world that we live in now. The Digipreneur FM platform is not the guide, but it's now your companion. Because, again, I'm going to be exploring a lot of these things. And because I've always been an early adopter, I've been somebody who likes to experiment, I just try things out and I see what happens. And I realize there's value in that, because a lot of times, I would say 20% of the people that contact me are not asking me questions, they're asking me for permission. And what does that look like? People will send me a whole email telling me their life story and then send me a whole screenshot saying, and this is why I'm setting up PayPal, and I just got this message. PayPal is saying it needs to verify me. Should I continue? And the person would ask, do I click continue? And I'm reading this. You just gave me a 2,000 word life story about how you reach to this point where you need PayPal. and your question is, PayPal is asking you that it has to verify you. Should I click continue? There's nothing else for you can do. You can only click continue. But the fact that you went through all of this to ask me that question reminds me that there's a percentage of people that are not asking for advice, they're asking for permission. And for some reason, y'all have decided to come to this madman to ask for permission. And I always get so annoyed because I'm like, you don't need to ask nobody for permission. Just try things. That is what has always gotten me into trouble until I figured out, oh, we got to try the things that allow you to grow in life. Try those things. You have to learn there's limits. But, I realized that about myself in this space is that with so many people that reach out asking for permission, I've had to, it's had me reflecting on, like, why do I not send this to nobody? Why am I not asking somebody to check this out or to try this or to give me your feedback? I have never asked anybody for my feedback on my work. And if I did, it wasn't for permission. It was genuinely, what did you think? And even if they disagreed, I could care less because it was never for permission. It was always for your feedback. What are you thinking? And a lot of times I ask people for permission because I know their mindset and they might represent a group of people that I expect to make a comment or to reach out or this might be directed to. And I might ask them for their feedback just to kind of see where their thoughts are so that I know how to preempt some of the questions I might get asked or even some of the backlash that I'm able to preempt, and I might go in and change up something, or maybe it's something that I fully stand behind or whatever the case is. But that is typically why I'm asking for feedback from people, but I don't ever ask for permission from nobody. I did that once. And actually, no. No. I can't even say that. I was going to say, when I started Gadget Geeks, this is before I started Droid Island. So Gadget Geeks in 2015, I remember I wanted to start a YouTube channel doing tech blogs. And I went to an owner of a Digicel store in Trinidad that I was cool with. And I was like, hey, I explained to him my idea. He has a Digicel store selling smartphones. And he was like, no, nobody reads, nobody watches tech videos. Like, that's not going to do good. And he just shitted on the whole idea. But again, I was never there for permission. I was there for feedback. So he said what he said. And I was like, well, that's stupid. I'm like, bro, I don't ever make a decision about technology without watching a bunch of tech reviewers. And again, this is early. This is 2015. I had just came to Trinidad like the year before. So that, I guess at that point in time, I never asked for permission because when I heard the feedback, I was like, you could never tell me that this is a bad idea because literally this is how all of us, in other places, in other markets, whatever, like this is how all of us do research. So if I was going to him for permission, I might have said, damn, you know what? Well, you know Trinidad better than me. And if you say people in Trinidad don't read or don't watch tech videos, then you're probably right. Maybe a tech blog or a tech YouTube channel is only something for other markets and not for us. But I never went to him for permission. And I just tried things out. And it's because I tried things out back in 2015, even though Gadget Geeks did not last for other reasons. But I was able to take lessons from Gadget Geeks and what worked in the brief time that I was doing social media there, and I was able to bring those things into Droid Island and figuring things out. And every version of the business that I was doing, I got to see how all of the lessons at the time I was able to soak and try things out. And again, I was never asking for anybody's permission. I was just trying things out. I was trying things out, and because I was trying things out, I found what worked. I found what didn't work. I will never say that, you know what, I made mistakes or I had regret. No, no, no. Everything happened the way that it was supposed to happen. And I think everything I found out what either worked or did not work. And I was documenting. And because I was documenting, I can then tell you, hey, I did this, I did that, this worked, that worked. And because other people were getting the results of what I was talking about, that is ultimately what has allowed me to grow and grow and grow into this space. So, rethinking this year and coming back to all of the decisions that have led to where I'm at today, the decision to make the move from Trinidad and come over to Thailand, be in a place where lower costs of living, making the decision to say, you know what, I'm going to scale down my life. Let me bring my bills down as much as possible. Right now, my current cost of living is about 800 US a month all in. That's with rent, electricity, food, all that good stuff. And because I've been able to scale it down, because it's given me the ability to say no more. So I've gotten to say no to opportunities that made no sense. Even with these people asking me to come and teach sessions on social media, whatever the case is, I was able to say no because to me, it made no sense. And I realized that you don't realize where the business has to go. And rather than force myself to do something I don't want to do and it drained my energy, I was able to say no. But I could say no freely because I've scaled down my life. I'm back in a safe environment. I can go for a walk. I can go for a run. I can go to the gym. I can listen to the birds outside when when I go and sit in the park. When I want a little cardio, I can just go up on the rooftop pool, go for a swim, come back downstairs and jump and do a podcast. Then go take a little nap. Like the life that I have created now has given me the ability to really ebb and flow. Has it been perfect? Absolutely not. Let me tell you how I'm struggling. So, because, and this all ties back into it. So, because the gap has been widening in terms of what I'm seeing, what I'm learning, what I could even do for businesses, because that gap is widening, um, there's a lot of people I just can't work with, right? So, I had to think about what do I want to do? Like, how much do I want to really spend in this business as is? Because there clearly has to be a transition that I do. I have to find people that are at a particular place that I want to work with that I can then get them to a different place, right? I don't want to be talking about social media strategy. Like, I don't want to be there. The world has moved on, right? So that transition, I felt like, you know what? I think is a good time to start trying for jobs out here. So I've applied for a number of jobs out here. And has that been going good? It's been going interesting. I've had a few interviews and interviews. I've like one of the jobs. There was 6 stages to the interview. I got to the fifth. Stage, and then the Iran-U.S. war kicked up, and that company's in Australia, and Australia was impacted right away. And the company decided to strategically put all new hires on hold, and they were going to push it off until Q3. That was in February. So I'm like, all right, cool. So they told me they're going to reopen the position in Q3, and then they would email me or reach out, and then we would pick back off because I was in the final stages. 6 stages. I'm at stage 5. I spoke with the company just a couple of days ago, and guess what? They said that, things have changed drastically since February, and now the role that they created, that they budgeted for, now they have found AI workflows to get exactly what they need out of that role done, so they're no longer going to be opening up that role. That was a major, you know what I mean? And guess what? What could you say? There was another company, another major company, major. The money was good. The company is huge. I was stoked, and especially because I use the service tremendously. I get a call back for the interview for a new role just created in SEO, GEO, AEO, optimizing the brand for AI search, right? Get the email, schedule an interview, get on the interview. Interview is going amazing. You know how the interview ends? The interview ends because whilst we're going through the interview, it clicks. They're like, wait a minute. Are you living? They're like, you're living in Thailand full time. I'm like, yeah. They're like, yo, they made a huge mistake. I'm like, mistake? They're like, yeah. They're like, the role that they are hiring for is remote, but remote locked to Australia. Right? And I'm like, okay, so like, why am I here? Right? Because my resume clearly says Thailand or whatever the case is. They're like, they feel like absolute trash because they shortlisted a couple of people and they were really high on meeting with me because they checked out my resume, my background. They're like, you have everything we are looking for. And we completely missed the fact because you hit everything we want, we overlooked the fact that you live in Thailand and not Australia. And I was like, again, this is mid-interview. This is mid-interview. I am like, okay, so where do we go from here? And they're like, they're gonna have to, they're gonna have to close the interview. They're like, this is locked to Australia. They're like, we could try to revisit this if we don't find nobody inside of Australia, whatever the case is. And yeah, and that was that. And then I had two other interviews, and process started, and they just tailed off. They just tailed off. So has it been all wins? No, it has not been all wins. Matter of fact, it's been a lot of rethinking life. It's been a lot of rethinking just life, and again, because of that, I just haven't been in a space to show up in a way that felt authentic to me. I needed to really think what is going to feel good to me when I turn this microphone on. What is going to be my truth? And it sounds cliche and gay as I say it, but what is going to be authentic for me? What am I going to feel good getting on this microphone and having fun talking about? What can I say that is going to make sense? And I've really spent the first 6 months, probably even longer, right? I'd say probably longer, but I really had to rethink, just everything. And do I have the exact plan? No, I don't. I have a direction because that's where I'm at. And right now, I feel like what is going to work in this AI, in the age of AI, is going to be you have to build your personal brand and you have to build your business brand. And you got to do it simultaneously. But you have to rethink your value proposition. You have to rethink how you're going to make money. You got to rethink what you're offering, your skill sets. And then you have to figure out what is going to work for your business, because discovery, how people engage, how people get information, all of these things have changed too. So even if you want to say, well, I don't like to do this or I don't like to do that, that might be the exact things that you have to do in order for your business to grow. And the things that you want to do, you just might not get the impact that you want. You really have to think about how you go about building today holistically. You really have to think in terms of systems now, because there's no just one thing you can do anymore. Now it's got to be, how do I build an ecosystem around my business, and how do I build an ecosystem around my personal brand? How do I create opportunities as Keron Rose? How do I create opportunities as Digipreneur? And in figuring that out, I've realized that in order to make money, people book me, they hire me to do a lot of stuff behind the scenes, whether it's optimization, whether it's e-commerce, whatever. And because AI has gotten so good, over the last month, I have finally learned how to code and build websites from scratch. That's dangerous now for me, because now somebody can come to me who is a premier VIP client who wants me to build an entire ecosystem. And I could now be a brand architect to build your entire digital ecosystem. And I can do that on my own without staff, because now I've learned enough of the tools that have come out or that have improved over the last 6 months to a year. And because I understand the strategy, because I have different perspectives from Canada, from the Caribbean, now in Asia, so much of my experience, so much of my real world lived experience, so much of my skill sets and the tools and just how I think, my perspective, so much is cross-pollinating, that now I can say Keron Rose can be the digital business strategist, the brand architect, the digital expert. He can be that, and on his platforms, he can do that, right? And it would be more strategy, because I still want to get those clients. But here's the thing. I don't want to do things I want to do things of high value, because I don't want to have 10 clients. I want to have 2 to 3 clients paying me premium dollars. That way, me living in a lower cost economy, I can work less and still have a great quality of life. And whilst I'm doing that, I still have a huge interest in the digital economy on a whole, technology, lifestyle technology, the future of jobs, the future skill. Like I have a real interest in that. So Digipreneur, that brand, Karen Rose can be the digital strategist, but Digipreneur needs to be the platform that isn't solving problems in Trinidad or solving problems in the Caribbean. The platform that I want to build is a platform that exposes the Caribbean region and the Caribbean diaspora to digital opportunities from my lens. And that took me 6 months to a year to get there. So much has changed. Think of everything I just said from the split of my 2 brands. Think of what is enabling me to allow me to do these things. The move to Thailand, the intentionality between scaling my life down, the keeping abreast with a lot of the tools and how we work and learning new things and different perspectives and experimenting, trying things out. All of these things have allowed me to, I rebuilt my website a couple of days ago from scratch, and I coded every aspect of my website. I went from using a page builder called Elementor, where I was building through drag and drop, to now I coded everything. I coded every single thing you see on my website. I coded from scratch. The irony to that is, when I was in university back in Seneca College for computer networking and system tech, this is like 2007, somewhere there. 2006, 2007. This is like 20 years ago. I dropped out of college because the class I hated the most, that was mandatory, that tortured and tormented me, That class that forced me to drop out, 'cause I just couldn't take it. That class was web design. And we had to use Dreamweaver to code websites. 20 years later, I am now coding websites to, to the T, to the spec. And I don't have to write a single code. I have the tools that can do all of the coding, but I am the brand architect. I am the digital business strategist. I am building the entire system. I don't have to sit down and write code. No. I know what I'm building. And whilst I'm building this, okay, cool. I need X, Y, and Z. This is why I'm doing it. This is what I need. I can tell it exactly what I want, get the exact code to build what I want, refine it, tweak it. That way the end result is exactly what I want, but it's built for the purposes of my business. All of these things took years to get to. But the irony that I have to laugh at is, imagine this is something that 20 years ago, I had to do by myself, and I hated it so much. I didn't want to do it no more, and I dropped out of university. Now I can build a website from scratch, and I'm doing it from code, and I don't have to write none of it. But I understand exactly what I need and why I need it and how. I understand all of that. I just don't need to write the actual code. And all of these things have made profound changes, because here's the thing. We often talk about people getting left behind. People are always going to be left behind. Not everybody can come, and we know that. Not everybody can come on this new journey. But here's what I want to leave off with you. The real opportunity is for the people who are willing to experiment and try things out. Because if you can get a jump on any form of automation, AI, program development, like if you can get, or program or project management, like if you can get a handle on any of these skill sets and you could learn them really quickly, not just speed through them, but if you can learn them as soon as you can, there's opportunities that you can create for yourself. Because guess what? Even though I'm applying for jobs and I'm getting callbacks and I'm doing interviews, and months later I still don't have a job, I'm still earning revenue. I'm still earning money. I'm still getting opportunities. I'm still saying no to opportunities. Even if jobs are telling me no, or they're fizzling out, or whatever the case is, it hasn't stopped me from earning money. Am I where I want to be? No. But I still have positioned myself to give me the best possible opportunity to find a life that I actually want to live. Not successful, because success is always going to be different depending on who you're talking to. I am just trying to build a life that is comfortable for me. What does comfortable look like? It looks like I can wake up, and whilst I'm doom scrolling, before I doom scroll, I should say, I have logged on to Grab. I have ordered some fresh coconut water from a vendor at 4:00 in the morning, and I'm only going to get up off of bed when I get the notification that my coconut water has arrived downstairs at 4:00 in the morning. I'll then go and get it. And that is how I start my day. That is success to me. Being able to say, okay, you know what? I need to go and I need to go and take a trip. I've seen enough Thailand for a bit. What's going on around me? Let me go book a trip over here. Just to be able to go and book a trip, go spend a few days in another country, like just being able to just do these things. That is the new version of success to me. Now, Usually my podcast episodes are 60 minutes. We're at a minute. We're an hour and 20. So I'm going to wrap it up here. Here's the final thing that I want to leave you with. In this time that we are in, you just have to experiment. You have to try things out. Don't ask for permission. Don't reach out asking if you should click this, if you could. Just try things, man. Just try things, because the only way any of us can learn today is by trying things out. Is my life perfect? Absolutely not. But there are 3 things that the vast majority of us are looking for in today's day and age. That is time freedom, location freedom, and financial freedom. And I can honestly say that as I approach my 40th birthday in 6 months, I've achieved 2 of those things. I have gained my time back. My time is not connected to being paid per hour, and I get paid in proportion to the value of the problems that I solved. So I have my time. I can work on my own time, and I have my location freedom. How I earn and where I earn is not attached to a fixed point. I can live and work from anywhere and still earn. I ain't get the financial freedom yet. Apparently, that takes a little bit longer. But you know what? The difference is today is that what you need for financial freedom and how you would go about achieving financial freedom living in the Canadas and the UKs and the North Americas looks very different in different countries. The other day, I seen a girl go viral on hip hop living in the Philippines, and she was like, if you earn $1,500 US a month in the Philippines, you're rich in the Philippines off of $1,500 US. She's like, you could live a 5-star lifestyle in the Philippines off $1,500. So financial freedom looks different for everybody depending on how you earn, because if your income is tied to a fixed location and you can't leave New York City because your job is there, then you just got to suffer, right? But if how you earn is not attached to the place that you live, that gives you some interesting opportunities, because again, $2,000 in the US or Toronto ain't doing you nothing. $2,000 US a month in Trinidad or Jamaica ain't really doing you much. $2,000 in the Philippines, well, guess what? You're living a 5-star lifestyle. And that might not be for everybody. The point is, it is available to those that actually want to do it. Too often do people come out here and they get on my content or platforms and they tell me, not everybody wants to be a digipreneur. That's good. This is not for you. This is for the people who are looking for alternatives, who want experiences and perspectives from people living a very different lifestyle, a lifestyle that we were never taught about at any point in time. And we are listening from their experiences and learning, and we are being opened up to an entirely new world. So when I get the messages and the DMs from the people that are coming out and they're saying, everything that you are talking about is what I have dreamed for my life. And when I get the people that are messaging me, their screenshots, they've booked hotels, they got their visas, they have migrated. When I see these emails and I see these DMs, I am reminded that this is why you got the platforms and this is why you got to show up. So, we're back.
You've been listening to the Digiboss, Keron Rose. We hope your notepad was filled after this episode. Make sure to like, rate, and review the show. The learning doesn't stop, folks. And to make sure you don't miss any gems from the Digiboss, go over and follow him on all social media platforms at Keron Rose. Folks, don't just sit there with a notepad. We need you to implement at least one thing into your business before the next episode. That's the only way your business levels up. Thanks for listening to Digipreneur FM. Now go be great.